All right, guys, we are here for the last session of the keynote. I would like to welcome the moderator for the last keynote session. All right, please put your hands together for our very own Ifra Ahmed. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the last but the best keynote of the day. My name is Zafar Ahmed. By profession, I'm a physician, but I am most proud of being a poet, an Urdu poet. And it is a great honor for me to welcome not just a fellow artist, a poet, but also somebody who wears many, many different hats. He does not need an introduction, but I will just give a very brief intro. Ali Zafar, Pakistani singer, songwriter, model, actor, producer, screenwriter, painter, poet. We're going to watch a short video before we bring him up on stage, so please enjoy.
Back to me. नाम लेके चले जाओ.
It's just my personal belief that we've come here for a higher purpose. I believe that you can't be a star if you can't shine for others.
Please welcome on stage Ali Zafar. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for taking time out. I'm sure you've got a very busy schedule.
No, we just pretend that we're busy. We're actually not. Most of us.
Well, that's my first question to you. What is behind Ali Zafar, the big name? There is a public image of big figures, entertainment like yourself. We want to hear about who's the Ali Zafar behind the perception.
First of all, hello, good afternoon, everybody. I want to congratulate everybody who's come here for this great event, Malika, Junaid, Open, and this entire conference. And you all, I think it's a beautiful thing to have happened. If you were to ask me about the person behind the perception, I see myself as an artist who likes to create. And I feel that in this, whatever little time that we have in this life, in these vessels, our bodies, and then we transfer on, you get the opportunity to experience life, and you must experience as much as you can of this reality that you're sent in and contribute into making it more beautiful, more eventful in a lot of ways when you're here. So I see myself as an artist who likes to create, who likes to add into other people's experiences and my own.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. So I wanted to ask you, I grew up in Pakistan, and we know that going into entertainment is not the career that your parents tell you to do. Engineering and doctor is probably what their dream is. And you've made it, mashallah, big in the career, your dream career. And I want to know, how did you manage that? And did you have support from your family in this journey? So please share.
I was lucky to be born in a family of professors, teachers. Both my parents were teachers. My father was a professor in the Department of Fine Arts, Punjab University. He taught arts and design. And my mother started off as a librarian, and her journey from being a librarian to a PhD, then a postdoc scholar, and now she's a vice chancellor of the Home Economics University. So I had parents who inculcated those values of, that a child needs to be interested in studying literature, and you must be of value. However, the idea of a child saying that I want to be a star or a singing sensation one day even was a little hard for them to understand at that time, because they were like that, in Pakistan there's no platform or there's no assurance as to if you're pursuing a career in wanting to be a singer, where do you go? What do you do? And it's going to be a life of a vagabond. But for some reason, I had a certain belief. I said that this is what I love doing. This is my passion, and I'll make it happen. I remember once, and my father said to me, and I quote this incident, he was like, there's no surety in this field. So I said, Baba, what would you want me to do? He said, why don't you, you should do your CSS, be a CSP officer. And I said, then what is a CSP officer? What is CSS? And he said, you can go into foreign service and you can, and I said, fine, then what happens then? And he says, you have a good job, a certain amount of income, and when you're going somewhere, you'll have a car patrolling you from behind and people will salute you wherever you go. That's the life of an officer. And I said, Dad, I want people to salute me not because of my posts, but my work. And I remember I said that as a 16-year-old kid. So for some reason, I had that focus since then. I had an idea of vision of myself in the future. And I was very certain that I'll get there. And so far, it's worked out pretty well.
Oh, that's incredible. You wanted to have people salute you, not for your posts, but for what you did and who you were. That's incredible. So let's talk a little bit more about pursuing your dream, because this was your dream, and we know that not everybody who has this dream makes it to the point that you were able to. What else helped you?
I think like with everybody, whenever somebody achieves something, whether that's, a dream or an ambition or a goal, I think if you study people who are high achievers, and a lot of them are sitting in this room right now, you would study that they would be very focused on what they want, and they've worked not just very hard towards it, but very smartly, using their mind. I mean, the mind is your biggest tool. And they were risk takers. Like I was always a risk taker. For some reason, I didn't have fear in me to dream of things or want things that seemed impossible. Like recently, I produced my first feature film, Thief in Trouble, 4 years ago. So my goal was simple, that I want to make Pakistan's biggest film yet. So I did not raise any funds. I did not go to anybody. I put in my own money, and in a point when a film would be made in Pakistan for, let's say at that time, $3 lakh or $2 lakh or whatever, I put in almost $1 million. I said, I'll bet on my own self. And in Pakistan, most movies worked till then on the Eid weekend, because people go out on the Eid. So I took a risk to release it on a non-Eid holiday during a political turmoil and elections, 20th of July, which is also my brother's birthday, Zan was sitting there. So, and the film, the day it opened, did the biggest business ever that had been done in our cinema. And it went on to become one of the biggest blockbusters. But so, I mean, I set myself high goals, high standards for my own self, and then I give it my best to follow and pursue them.
Thank you. Well, I see some millennials in the room, and I want to ask you a question that I think they can learn from. So millennials are known for, pursuing immediate gratification, which is the world today that we live in. And how do you, act differently? How do you pursue your dream in a different way because there is no immediate gratification in a journey like yours?
I'd say, I mean, different strokes for different folks. Every generation comes with their own interpretation of what they want out of life. And I think it's very important for the previous generation to understand their ethos. My observation may not be very accurate when we talk about Gen Z or millennials, because it is their experience and they must own it. However, if I were to give a small piece of advice, which I don't even think I'm worthy of giving, but if I were to, then I would just say that never compromise on your dream and seek sustainable peace and happiness than instant gratification. If you're looking for shortcuts to become famous or get there, then that thing's going to go like that and come down like that. If you want sustainable growth, and most importantly, like, we do everything to feel good, right? So if you want to feel good for a long period of time throughout your life, then invest in yourself and things which will give you sustainable peace and joy.
Thank you. So as I was introducing you, I was running out of titles because you wear many hats. How do you manage that, being such a multitasker in your field?
I have different versions of myself, right? So I see myself and I go into that space in that time for that purpose, and then I come out of it. You could call it a skill or an art, but somehow I've managed it so far. So when I'm acting on a set, I get inside the shoes of an actor. But if you see me working, while I'm on the set acting, I'll be giving directions to my engineer in the music studio, how to tweak that song, like that. So somehow my mind is working on different projects and things at the same time. So I can multitask. Like, while I'm sitting here right now, I'm thinking and talking to you and answering to you. Part of my mind is thinking about the video that I have to shoot in LA in 2 days. So it goes together.
All right. It takes a special kind of mind to do that. So tell us about, you're so many things, but what is that one thing, if you could put your finger on it and say, this is what makes me me? What would be that one thing?
I think what makes me is a realization, which I would say in my case was an early realization of the awareness of the best version of myself that I want to see in the future. And earlier on in my life, I wasn't confused. I knew that is me. So even till this date, every moment that I spend with myself, I'm thinking, how do I improve myself? How do I get better? What would be the best version of myself in every way? As a father, as a son, as a brother, as an artist, as a musician, as a singer. So I'm seeking, although there's no such thing as perfection. We're flawed, but I'm always striving to become the best version of myself, and I think that keeps me amused with this character but somebody named Ali Zafar.
Thank you. So let's talk about, when we were preparing for this interview, you brought up something that I don't think a lot of artists always focus on, especially early on, is what are your responsibilities as an artist to the community, to the people, to your audience?
I feel that, we're all artists. We're all always creating stuff. Creativity is all that there is. I mean, You create a business, you create opportunities every day. You create an omelette when you wake up. You create your morning, you create your evenings, you create your dreams. So we're always in the process of creating. And sometimes, and in fact, a lot of times, people are misguided by the society into thinking that they're just machines doing certain jobs and skills. Actually, we're all artists capable of producing great art. Every thought is created in every second, in every moment, and we create our reality. I mean, so to understand that we're all creative artists, even scientists, teachers are creating students and people in the society, good people. So I think everything is creativity, which is why artists and art is so important, and which is why for artists to share their experience and not just have a life which is self-indulgent, because we can very easily step into the zone of being narcissists. Artists normally love themselves. They like to be praised. They hate criticism. But I think there's a world beyond that where you can see yourself as an outsider with that awareness that this person is Ali Zafar and now Ali is angry, so Ali changed the emotion to gratitude. And I think it is very important for artists to pass on a certain way of looking at the world to the people that are around the artists and the people that are to come. So to show people a different way of looking at things, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that beautiful thought. I see it as us being reflections of Allah, the greatest creator. And so we all have that creativity in us. Let me ask you something. So you have created, all sorts of songs, beautiful poetry and, tunes. I know that you've created songs in different languages, different Pakistani languages. So talk a little bit about that. What inspired you to do that?
As I said that, the best thing that you can do as an artist is to contribute in a way for a purpose that is bigger than yourself. I did these songs in different languages, different Pakistani languages, because I felt that Pakistan has been quite unfortunate in a lot of ways. It's such a beautiful country with beautiful people and languages and culture, but undiscovered, unexplored. And I felt that if I were to, in my shoes, introduce those cultures like Balochi and Pashtun and Sindhi culture in a way that I could introduce them to the world and also to the new generation so that they can feel, the ownership. Because a lot of the youth looks to the West for inspiration and to identify with. So to give the youth, the Pakistanis in Pakistan and internationally, something to identify with and feel proud of, that's why I did those songs in those languages.
Thank you. So let's talk about, you told us about the person behind this perception of Ali Zafar. Let's go into detail. From the outside, what we see is this successful career of somebody who's just, doing well and growing and becoming popular and, from Pakistan to Bollywood. Tell us about maybe a moment or moments where you felt like a failure, like where you were just feeling so low that you didn't know the person that was, on the outside that the public knew.
I don't mind failing at things because I think your greatest lessons come from your failures. I don't like being betrayed because I think people that betray you are your teachers. I don't mind being hurt because it is that pain that you feel inside that produces the best art. And I see every adversity as an opportunity to learn from. But I do hate disappointing people, especially people who have invested in me. Now that could be family or producers or people who just invested in me. I like them to feel good about themselves by being associated with me in whatever way possible. But I see failures and wins and victories as, a game of, in this game of life, they're all like, there's points on the board that give you the opportunity to, वो अल्लामा इकबाल का शेर है कि, तंदिए मुखालिफ से ना घबरा, ये तो चलती तुझे ऊंचा उड़ाने के लिए. So whatever the wind that blows against you is there to take you higher. So I see these things as an opportunity.
So some of your songs are, very deep, the meaning, and there's a lot of philosophy and life lessons. And I know you're inclined towards meditation and mindfulness. How has that helped you, and when did you pick that up in your career?
बोर तो नहीं हो रहे आप लोग? Sorry. वो शाम को सुनाएंगे. So mindfulness and meditation is something that has taken me years and years to practice and understand. And I'd say to anybody that if there's anything in life, then the most important thing to do daily would be to spend that time with yourself where you can get to a space and a place where you can really experience and discover things about yourself and your being and this universe in ways that you can't do walking and talking. So, and what I really learned was that nobody else is responsible for what's happening in our lives except ourselves. Your subconscious mind is very, very, very strong. From what I read, if your conscious mind, which is creating this reality and this perception through your 5 senses, is working on 4,000 bytes a second, processing this reality, your subconscious mind is working on 2 billion bytes a second. So what is more powerful? That is your subconscious mind. So you go deep down there and you plant new seeds and ideas, plant new flowers and trees, make new folders in that CPU. Your mind is like a very high-powered computer. So when we are growing up as children, especially from the age of 2 till 8, a child's mind is in theta state, as we call it. And it's like you're in hypnosis. So whatever your society, your parents, your teacher, your TV, the news is telling you to that child is going inside as a program. And now the rest of your life is going to be working around that program. So if the father is going to tell the child, you're not worthy, you're not good enough, so then that child in that theta state, when his mind, subconscious mind is open, is going to spend his entire life trying to prove somehow that he's worthy. Or he would have killed his self-esteem. And he would do different things. So when you're talking about crime and criminals and things that you can't, like a lot of people, like all of us, there are certain behaviors that you can't understand. Why am I doing that? Why is this happening? It's happening because of that program inside your mind. So what do you do to fix it? You have to unlearn and you have to reprogram your mind. So COVID gave me the opportunity to finally sit down. I would sit for like hours a day in meditation and go into those beautiful spaces and areas and, where I would just plant beautiful flowers in my life, and then the same things would manifest the next day, the next month, and it's a beautiful art, and I think that is what everybody should really get into. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. I think I'm going to plan meditation class for all the Desi dads to unlearn that doctor and engineering is not the only career. I have a lot more questions, but I do want to give an opportunity to our audience to ask questions. So I'm going to ask one request, of course. A shair has to ask the shair to read something special. Can you share maybe a poem or a ghazal?
पोएम शायरी का शौक है किसी को? Is everybody interested in शायरी? Yes. क्योंकि शायरों को शौक होता है शायरी सुनाने का, लेकिन कई दफ़ा सुनने वाले कहते हैं भाई हमें ज़्यादा शौक नहीं है और बोर हो जाते हैं.
अगर शायर स्टेज पे बैठा हो तो वो सुना सकता है.
मैं शायर तो नहीं मगर ऐसे ही जब से देखा मैंने तुमको मुझको शायरी आ गई. ये वो वाला किस्सा है. तो एक चीज़ मैंने लिखी थी वो मैं पढ़ देता हूँ. ये नज़म और नसर दोनों के बीच में आती है. इसका उन्वान है अक्स. उर्दू सबको आती है. एवरीबडी ऑलमोस्ट एवरीबडी अंडरस्टैंड्स.
इरशाद.
मैं तेरी आंखों में रहना चाहता हूं, लेकिन तब जब तुम उन्हें बंद करती हो. खुली आंखों में मुझे अपना अक्स दिखाई देता है जो मेरे आप से बहुत मुख्तलिफ है. मैं अपना आप तुम्हारे हवाले करना चाहता हूं और अपना अक्स किसी और के. जो किसी रोज मेरा अक्स मेरे आप से रूबरू हो गया तो तुम आके मुझे समेट लेना, अपनी नर्म चादर में लपेट लेना और उसे ओढ़कर दरिया के किनारे मेरा इंतजार करना. और अगर मैं ना पहुंच पाऊं तो समझ लेना कि मैं अपने अक्स और अपने आप दोनों से शर्मिंदा हूं. और फिर मेरा एक काम करना, मेरे अक्स को पानी पे छनती चांदनी की रोशनी से धोकर दरिया में बहा देना और मेरे आप को अपने अंदर कहीं छुपा देना. एक तो सदियां इंतजार करना और हो सके तो मुझे माफ करना.
बहुत खूब. ब्यूटिफुल. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. So we can open the floor to questions from the audience. There's one in the back.
Hey, so I wanted to kind of touch on the point that you mentioned on failure. So in the morning when we had Sal Khan over, he was also discussing that it's such a different perception when you see failure in Pakistan. When someone fails through, it's a huge disappointment, like you mentioned as well, versus over here in Silicon Valley especially, it's like wowed upon. It's like kind of like a badge of honor instead. So how do you think we can take some of that mentality and apply it into Pakistan? So, because that is part of the process, right? If you even look at working in startups and things, failure is a high chance of occurrence, but through multiple failures is where you gain success. But that process stops at the first point in Pakistan usually. So I just want to hear your thoughts on like, how do you think we can take some of the mentality from here and learnings from here and apply that to Pakistan, and how can we as a community help in doing that?
Pakistan is, I've never really spoken openly about how I feel about a lot of things that happen in Pakistan and the way that people think and operate over there, but I can take the opportunity to do that today because I think it's needed. Pakistan is stuck in like a whirlpool of a lot of different confused ideologies, concepts that are not mostly constructive. They're regressive in a lot of ways. However, like every place and country in the world, Pakistan has some people and some ideas which can pull the country out and take it to a place which can be unprecedented in a lot of ways. Unfortunately, you don't see too many people on the forefront right now because some are disappointed, some are scared, some are not interested, maybe. I just say that if you were to ask me, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just see how the best societies in the world, countries what have they applied over the years to come to where they are? Because they've already gone through that whole drill for the last 100, 200, 300, 500 years. Europe from Renaissance and what was it before that? So they've done the drill. I mean, you go to Amsterdam and you're like, damn, this place is so peaceful. I had a different idea of it. And they have things which we wouldn't allow. And how is this society working so peacefully then? So these are questions that do come in our minds, right? But the thing is that I feel that you see, let me choose the right words. Like college kids with big egos quarreling in high school. That's where we are on that level of, where we should be. So I hope that the kids grow up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can take maybe 2 or 3 more questions.
A lot of us are working in corporate, and most of them are pursuing to climb the corporate ladder. I was curious, as an artist, what do you pursue? Is it variety or commercial success? And how do you know you made it?
Well, I'm sitting here being questioned by a corporate genius about life. I think I've made it. I think variety is one of the elements. I mean, if you know Tony Robbins, he's defined like 6 basic needs that every person has: certainty and significance, and variety is one of them. We all want variety, but it really depends where we're looking at for and what defines variety for us. I'm looking to create quality in every single moment. And I think every single moment has so much variety in it. And when it comes to the corporate culture, I feel that you guys need to hang out more with artists. Yeah. That's where the discussion really happens. When we're jamming, when they're like beyond the suits and ties, just jamming with music, and so many ideas come out from there. Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Zafar. This is me here.
What's up?
This is not a question, it's just a comment, and in fact it's a thank you for you, because when I was when I was a youngster, I listened to one of your songs, and it motivated me a lot, and it made a big impact on my life. And I just wanted to sing that for you.
Firstly, how old are you?
I'm 43. That's why I said when I think we are growing together.
That's factually not correct. Because if you were a child and I was singing...
I was not a child. I said I was in my late youth, or maybe at my career, when I was taking my career up very seriously.
Gotcha. I'm very good at cross-examination. Well, please go ahead. Thank you so much for your kind words.
आसमां को छूते जाए हम, हर घड़ी को जीते जाए हम, हर आड़ से लड़ते रहें, हर बार और हम बढ़ते रहें. जिंदगी, अरे ओ जिंदगी, कैसी कैसी तूने दिखाई है मुश्किलें, सामने पड़ी हुई करके दूर तुमने दिखाई है मंजिलें, मगर हम आगे ही आगे हर कदम भागे ही भागे, मुश्किलें आसान कर देंगे, मंजिलों को पकड़ लेंगे, जिंदगी दर्द देगी हम उसे नेहा कर देंगे, जिंदगी देगी मायूसी जो हम तन्हा लड़ लेंगे.
Thank you. Thank you.
आसमां को छूते जाएं हम, जिंदगी को जीते जाएं हम.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. You know the background of that song? Can you bring the mic here to this section? Give everybody a chance.
Can we bring the mic here?
Yeah, sure, after that. So I'll give you a little background about that song. I wrote that song because one of my friends came and she said that there's a little girl, she's only about 16, 17, and she's got cancer, and she's a big fan. So can you do something for her that'll lift her spirits up? So then I wrote this song for her.
Wow.
And she was later treated. Yeah.
Right, 2 more questions.
So hello. I was just wondering, sort of, with a lot of artists in Pakistan, there's sort of like a mix of things that form their sort of style and inspire them. So, for example, with like Hassan Rahim or the Young Stunners, there are like, you know, Western influences with rap and hip hop, as well as like traditional Pakistani influences. I was just wondering, what are the sort of the individual pieces that have influenced your style and influenced your art?
I grew up in an era where we didn't have Apple Music or Spotify to have access to so much music from all over the world. So we would watch TV and whatever BTV was playing, or Chitrahar, wo antenna theek karke aata tha, we used to watch that. So our influences were limited. But I'm very happy that these platforms have brought in so much exposure and access to world music, to wherever you're sitting. I mean, I recently discovered playlists on Apple Music about meditation, guided meditations. I discovered in my watch that I would go out for a walk and I could listen to a woman who was an astronaut talking about a journey while walking. So I think these platforms that played a great part in influencing a lot more music and creativity. And I think it's beautiful. So, yeah. We can have 2 more questions.
Okay, we can have a couple more, as long as our guest says yes.
I have this gentleman, he's been asking for some time. Ask a question.
I'll be real short. Assalamu alaikum, Ali.
Assalamu alaikum.
So I have a humorous, creative suggestion for you. I was thinking that you may leverage your resemblance to Johnny Depp by making a movie called Dakus of the Arabian.
Go on.
Just because it's the end of the day, I just wanted to wake everyone up. But I do want to give you a compliment, because I've been watching your art for about 10, 15 years, and I've never lived in Pakistan, but I do follow the art. The diversity and the versatility of your art is truly inspirational. Many artists fit into a certain genre, and you've been able to cross many boundaries, and not just in music, but in film, in drama. And this pursuit of excellence that you spoke about earlier, what I call personal mastery, where there is no competition with other artists. It's your own inner journey, and you just reflected on that when you spoke about what you did in the COVID. So I just wanted to remind you of that and remind everybody else in this audience to continue that journey of personal mastery. Thank you.
Thank you for your... Thank you, sir. I really appreciate it, for your beautiful thoughts and words. Thank you.
Okay, my question is, has like the stress of your stardom ever made you question like being in the music industry?
You know, like we human beings are extremely, sometimes we become extremely ungrateful because, let's say, you see people who complain about the stress that comes with stardom after you've worked your whole life to become a star. You know, you've worked towards it, everything comes with a package, with a cost. The only thing that I have tried in this is to protect my family, that no stress goes to my family. Otherwise, stress for me is like, I can deal very well with it. So I enjoy every day, every single day of not being a star, because I don't know what being a star is or what a star is, but just being an artist at work.
Thank you.
Nasir Javed, Ali, great, love your music, and we'll enjoy that later tonight. Just since we had a great day here with startups and entrepreneurs and companies and all that stuff, so I think it'll be a great way to end. How do you define success? What is success? Your take on it.
Success for me is a very simple concept. And to define it in words, because language has its barrier, if after having done everything during your day, during your week, during your month, during your year, during your life, you can spend time at peace with yourself, when you're alone, I think you're successful.
Thank you for that. I think that's a very important reminder in this world where we're constantly looking for validation and engaging with people on social media. Spending time with ourselves is very important to success and peace. Do we have any more questions? Okay, one.
Thank you. So I came to the US about 2 decades ago. Growing up in college, we used to listen to Purani Jeans and guitars and Dil Dil Pakistan, and I'll be honestly admitting that I didn't know much about Ali Zafar. But I went back to Pakistan a couple of years ago, and my family asked me, let's go and watch a movie. Before, when I came to the US, movies, Mola Jat, and were really not something that appealed to me. And the movie they decided to show was Thief in Trouble. And that was my first exposure to Ali Zafar. And that kind of changed my perception about movies in Pakistan, the class, the acting, the production. It completely blew me away. And that's when I started looking into Ali Zafar and started listening to your songs and did a little bit more follow-up. The thing I wanted to ask you, you have an evolution of your journey, artist, singer, producer. How do you reinvent yourself? And at what point you think that this is the right move for you into that particular area?
Thank you. I think that's a very good question. At what point do I think that this is the right move for me? I rely heavily upon intuition. Because as I said, that if I were to rely only on my logic and reason, which comes from the conscious mind, it'll come with its own sets of barriers, fears, reservations, calculations, mathematics, all of that. So I rely on intuition, and I submit and surrender myself for that and open myself to that higher energy and space from where answers come. Sometimes as poetry, sometimes as a thought, sometimes as a decision, and sometimes as signs that are shown. And I just follow the signs. And it's worked out well so far.
Thank you. We can take one last question.
Hello. Hi, Ali.
Hi.
So, I was really curious coming here. I was curious what you have to say about technology. I would say if I could ask one question, I think, one of the things we often talk about is how do you make the technology industry in Pakistan more productive and really get going, And I feel like there's no shortage of incubators and investors. Now, a lot of us live in the US, we have the capacity to finance things as well over time. But I think the thing that we've been missing as technology and building things is not cool, Like, I think it's really essential for a culture to develop that makes this cool, And I feel like one thing that you've managed to do quite successfully in Pakistan is you've been a cool person throughout your life. People look up to you. I feel like you created a certain culture around art and creativity. What are the things we can do to kind of bring that to technology, to get to a point where building startups and companies, but also building media and creator economies more accepted and actually cool? Yeah.
So the concept of coolness, it's a very interesting concept, that what do we perceive to be cool? And I think if we were to make knowledge and acquiring knowledge and wisdom cool, and somehow inculcate that thought process in children, the why is acquiring knowledge cool. Because I feel that we cannot get anywhere unless the whole education system is changed. Because the education system in Pakistan is producing handicapped slaves who asked, and in fact who were told not to question. They're not taught the importance of art, creativity, technology, science. I mean, science is taught as a subject which is so boring through a book. One of my ideas that I had was in education, because my foundation, Ali Zafar Foundation, is working in the field of education. But I felt that, if I get like 1,000 books or 1,000,000 books and give it to, 1,000,000 kids, buy those books and give it, what difference? It's not going to create a big difference. In order to create a magnanimous difference, you need to change the human being, right? You have to create a new human being. And it is very difficult to make the older lot understand because they're set in their ideas. So you need to invest into young children and kids, and from there, you need to start creating new human beings, which in the next 20, 25 years would understand and be able to imagine and create technology and other stuff. Like, why hasn't Pakistan had people who have been able to change the world through technology living in Pakistan? I mean, a lot of Pakistanis, and most of them got there because they were born, they grew up in this society which facilitates the process of innovation. And very few exceptions in Pakistan, on their personal gut, they realize that, oh, things are not right, I need to do something different. But that's on a very small level. So you need to change the education system completely and start creating a new breed of human beings who are more evolved. I had an idea that instead of going to school, carrying those heavy books on your shoulder and years of stress and trauma that a child goes through, how do we make it fun? How do we make education fun? Like all the data that you want to go inside that child through a science book in 4 years, what if we take the class to a 360 virtual reality auditorium where you just show human history through time and space in 1 hour. And the kids are watching that and they're interested in it, and it going into their subconscious mind, and they're learning that, they're downloading that entire data in 1 hour instead of 4 years of rattofying and memorizing world history and then biology and stuff like that. So one of my ideas is to build that auditorium, which will have, you've seen that exhibition. I don't know if anybody's seen that Van Gogh. They've taken Van Gogh's art, and it's an immersive museum experience. So that's the kind of stuff, visual stuff that I would want to create. One of my very dear friends, Farhan, is here. He started off with a very good platform, music platform, and so we've grown up together, and I'm very proud to see him here. Sarib, right? And I would want that if he could make the listener experience the power of classical music through a sonic experience which transcends you to where Eastern classical music is meant and supposed to transcend you, right? App, yes, great, but beyond the app also. So when we're entering into the future, I see technology playing a lot of, like it always has, a great role in elevating our thought process and understanding. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I think we need to bring in new tools, more innovative tools to do all of that. So the other thing that I'm doing is Lighting Hill Productions, Lighting Hill Records. We're going to be selecting talent from not just from Pakistan, but Pakistani kids all over the world. And that's what my idea is, groom them and launch them and help them create music and other stuff. So that is another idea. But you're right, you can't change education system, but we can create stuff, alternative education. That's what's needed, because you can't change the syllabus. There's so many complications there. But we can create alternative education system. Sitting over there in white there.
Mm-hmm. You want to take one more question? Okay. There's somebody in white over there who was asking.
Yeah, okay. I saw you, raising your hand every time.
Okay, last question. You're going to get me in trouble, Ali.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much. I wanted to hear more about your foundation and the incredible work that you're doing, and how this past year has been for you and where you see the foundation moving into the future.
I've struggled for the last few years, while we were, doing everything that we could to do, to help in, let's say, when the floods happen, you go and give them food, you give them tents to live in. These are basic requirements, right? Health, and when COVID hit, food to a lot of families. But as I said before, my vision for the foundation is, let's say you want to build a cancer hospital, right? It's great. You want to build a hospital, you want to get into healthcare. My idea is to create a world, or to some level, where there is no cancer. What causes cancer, right? If you go into that debate. So, preventive care, awareness about that, research and study and knowledge about that. And from what I've learned is that dis-ease, as we call it, a lot of it is caused majorly because of stress. And how do you deal with stress is the most basic learning that we must do and apply and transfer, so that all of this, doesn't happen. And I mean, it won't not happen, but I'm saying is that we can create a better life for everybody once we can spread the knowledge and wisdom to understand the human mind.
Thank you so much, Ali. I think that's a perfect way of ending the evening with hope. And also, I wanted to put a plug in for our gala where Ali will be performing. And if you want to be transcended into the world that he was talking about, join us this evening at the Crown Plaza in Palo Alto. If we are not already sold out, I'm not sure. It is, okay, never mind, we're sold out. So whoever did get the tickets, we'll see you there tonight. Thank you so much, Ali. It was really a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just leave it.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How did it go? Ali, was it
Thank you very much, everyone, for staying late and making this a memorable event. And please, I would like to give everybody over here a big round of applause, especially to all the attendees and all the volunteers who have made this event possible. Like it goes like months and months of work to get this going. So thank you so much for all being here. Bye. Yeah. And as Ifra said, that anybody who has already bought a ticket for Gala, we'll see you at the Gala. And there is not much time to start that, so please proceed there.